Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. I'm here today with Jack.
Hello there.
He's visiting us from England. You know him from a channel and recent videos. And yeah, we're doing a live here with new cufflinks, but we've also got a special announcement. So stay tuned. Don't just tune out. Yeah. So, you know, the cufflinks, I mean, it seems like a little thing, you know, just a little thing on your cuff, but actually quite a bit of work went into it. We basically had this idea to create some like animal style cufflinks. And I've been talking to our German master craftsman jeweler, and so he really carves everything, you know, by hand in wax. And it's a cool process. It's not like 3D printed like you would think you could do these days. But yeah, I mean, basically, you know, the idea was to have like an eagle. And then we said, well, what about also have the kind of snake in the back, right? And then we were like, ooh, predator and prey. That's a cool concept. So we added a few more. We added the fox with the goose. And the idea behind it was, you know, as a kid in Germany, there was a song called "Fox, You Stole the Goose, Give It Back to Me." So I was like, oh, that's a good kind of thing to have. Yeah. And then I think your favorites are the lions, right?
Correct. I love the lion and the gazelle. My other half, she is a Leo, so I like that link. But also, I'm a big cat person.
Yeah.
So it's a nice kind of tie-in, I think.
And, you know, just like always, we wanted to create something that had decorative elements, you know, all the way. There's decorations in the back, right? There's decorations on the connector, and there's a decoration in the back. And, you know, most cufflinks you see are like, you know, T-bar cufflinks. For example, I'm getting one out here. That's what you typically see in a cufflink, right? T-bar. It's just, you rotate it like that. And it's kind of basic, right? You see it on really cheap cufflinks that cost, you know, $2. You see it in, you know, this is a version in 14 karat gold, I think. So, but we always, our kind of goal is to create something that is, you know, more elevated. And yeah, we thought about adding maybe, you know, a mechanical element to it. But once you do that, you know, anything that's mechanical is more prone to breaking.
Of course. That's something that I've definitely noticed in a lot of my cufflinks, and even like a chain link cufflink. There's definitely a higher degree of delicate sort of feel to it, which can feel nice when you handle it, but when you actually wear it, I mean, realistically, these are functional items. They're designed to be used, and you really don't want them to fail on you.
Yes. And then, you know, we also looked at like the finishing, right? So for example, my favorite finish on these ones is the black and silver. So it's basically oxidized silver. You oxidize the whole thing, and then you polish everything off afterwards, giving you that really stark definition. For example, now you see here our eagle's head, and this is the same eagle's head, the exact same eagle's head, but it's just platinum plated. And you see you lose a lot of definition in the up-close view, right? So we're like, you know, if you make something like this, it's nicer to see the definition. That being said, you know, this will oxidize. It's silver. It will oxidize, it will blacken, but you can use a cloth and just wipe it off every once in a while, and the ridges will stay black and the top will be super shiny.
So if you were to use a silver cloth on the cufflinks as they are now, would that remove the oxidization?
No, I mean, maybe a little bit if you kind of really, you know, push into a ridge, but otherwise I would say no. No. And then, you know, we have also, we did a gold version of it, right? Because a lot of people like gold. We just did yellow gold, not also rose gold. Because rose gold plating, you know, it's a specialized treatment you need. There's a lot more fumes that are, yeah, present. And so we're like, to start, we'll do this. And then we'll, you know, take it from there. So this was the horse. This is the only, like, you know, animal that doesn't have a predator, but I'm like, oh, a horse would be really cool. So I thought about maybe polo clubs, but ultimately we settled on this stirrup.
Absolutely, that sort of dichotomy between power and control and the precise sort of nature of, and as you say, the link back to how much classic menswear is linked to equestrian themes.
And then here, you can see like on the right, this one here, the silver one, that was the original size of the stirrup. And then we tried it and realized, ooh, this is a little too small. It may come undone. So I had to go back and recarve it. These are just things that happen, and we test all these things thoroughly, so you don't get a product that doesn't work. Same with this was the original size of the goose in the back, and then we got a smaller one here. Let's put them side by side so you can really see the difference.
Because we actually had this issue just before we went live. I had accidentally picked up the wrong cufflink style, and getting the right motif on the foot is absolutely spot on for being able to then use it in a really enjoyable kind of way.
Well, and not all shirts. What we realized too, not all shirts have the same cuff buttonhole size.
Yeah.
So we used very tight ones. We used very big ones, and in between, just to make sure it would work with everything. And so we realized we had to make this goose a little smaller, and so we did, right? And then we tried again, and it was like, okay, now it's good. Also, when I first used them, I felt like certain corners were a little hard. So when I put them on, I felt like it was poking me. I'm like, that's not an experience I want a customer to have. So we kind of rounded the corners a little more. So just the feeling of putting it on is not really hurting you. So if you have questions here about the cufflinks or how they're made, we're happy to show you. Got some videos. Face ID is not letting me do things here, so I got to put in the code. Ask away. We're happy to answer everything, any question you might have. Also, we have a deal going on.
So the deal that we've got running until March 30th, midnight CST, March 30th, you'll get 15% off your first pair of cufflinks, 20% off 2 pairs of cufflinks, and if you buy 3 or more pairs of cufflinks, it's 25% off.
Yeah, so let's say you buy 4, it's like buy 3, get 1 free. And it's only for the 8 new models. It's not the old models. We have these other models here. I think the monkey fist knot cufflinks, right?
I think, we've got the eagle claw there as
We
well.
have the eagle claws. Now, one thing that I'm really proud of that we were able to achieve with those is that we were able to make them less expensively, right? So how so? Well, you learn, right? For example, with our monkey fist knot cufflinks, they're so big and so massive that when you cast them, the silver is at certain points too cold. So then that the end product is not good. So you have a lot more waste. Now, when you have that, you can't just take that same amount, that same silver, and melt it again. You have to send it back to make sure all the chemical compounds are the right composition again. And that being said, some jewelers, they also do it with gold. They recast it, but the chemical composition changes because that some of the copper will become copper oxide, and it's not the same anymore, and it's not as smooth anymore. And so with these old cufflinks, we just had a lot more waste. So now if you wanted to make 20 pairs, you knew you had to make 35 just to get to those 20 that you wanted. So with these, we were able to minimize that and get them at the exactly right size. So they're a little bit lighter weight, but they're still substantial, right? So a pair, of these, I think the heaviest ones are the horses. They still have a nice weight to them. And I think the lightest ones are the lions, simply because the lion is a bit, less three-dimensionally.
It has a flatter sort of design to it. Something like the fox or the eagle definitely has that sort of protruding element to it.
Exactly. But they're all, within 4 grams of about 1/10 of an ounce in weight. So there's not that much difference.
No, I mean, they're definitely something that feels heavier than most cufflinks that I've come across. I wear a lot of vintage cufflinks, and these far outweigh a lot of the vintage cufflinks that I own. purely because they are a solid metal. There's no filler in there. I think another really useful part of that is the fact that if you do have any allergies to certain metals, like nickel, for instance,
Yeah.
that's just not going to be a case with these cufflinks.
Exactly, because we use the silver and also the gold. It comes from a company that produces it in a carbon neutral way, and it's all from Germany. They use recycled gold, so it's just really cool that there's a sustainability aspect to it, and yeah. So deciding on the animals, I'm like, there's so many cool animals. Right? Lion is kind of a classic. I think men, lion, kind of alpha aspect. And then we were like, oh yeah, what does the lion eat? Oh yeah, he eats this. And also, what would actually work on the back of a cufflink?
Yeah.
Because not every animal is automatically suited to it, right? And the first one was the eagle. So the goldsmith, he looked at a lot of stuff. He looked at real eagles. He looked at other carvings. I was inspired by my hooks of my wardrobe, right? I think we'll show them to you. They were rather large, right? And so it's much easier to carve nicely on a large element than on a smaller element, because you have to downsize the proportions and still get the detail. But you can see here the claw grabs the snake, and the way it's angled, we get that nice closure. And then here too, like, it's really nice. Initially, a real eagle or a raptor, they have that more like shaped beak.
Yeah.
So they can grab things more easily. But I was like, well, if you have a really pointy thing on the inside of your cuff, how does it work with the fabric you have, right? I don't want you to destroy your jacket lining or your jacket. And so we decided to kind of make it a little more round, so we wouldn't have that issue of people destroying anything.
Indeed, the idea is that the cloth kind of reflects off the curvature of the beak, isn't it, rather than catching on the beak.
And exactly, and the beak, even from the bottom, right? If you touch it like this, it's kind of dull enough that it's not going to rip a hole into anything.
Absolutely. I mean, I've always been inspired by the eagles, I believe, carved on the Chrysler building in New York, that very Art Deco, long pointed beak. But this time around, I think it just makes more sense, because you also don't really want a cufflink that's going to protrude half an inch away from your shirt sleeve.
Yeah.
It's that balance of discreet but obvious.
Yeah. And then, we got the fox with the goose, right? And then the horse with a stirrup, and the lion with a gazelle. These were the animals. Why aren't there rose gold or platinum options like the other cufflinks? So, the platinum, like we said, they just didn't look as nice. So we're like, well, let's choose something that looks really nice and has this more definition. And so we did the black and silver. Exactly. And then rose gold, yeah, it's just, a matter of stocking cost. Could we offer them in rose gold plated? Yes. Just sales numbers wise, it seems like these were much more popular. So it's like, well, why, invest all that money when people are not that interested in them anyways?
So I'm quite interested. You mentioned about the wax carving. Is it? You'll have to sort of explain more to me, because I'm not overly knowledgeable about this.
Yeah.
How do they go about doing that?
Well, you start out really with a piece of wax, right? And then you draw something on there, and then you start using like a Dremel tool and like finally carving it away. And then when you're happy with that final result, you can make a mold out of it. So it's basically, you create a shape that looks like this. And I mean, the wax our guy uses is like green. Everything okay? Okay, great. So it's a green wax, and that it pretty much looks like this, right? Because it's
carved at the scale that it's finished in.
The exact same size, basically. And then once you have that, you create a mold around it, right? Mm-hmm. And then with that mold, you create the thing where you actually cast in. Because basically the silver, it has to get in there. So you have a channel, basically, that you attach. And that channel then, that's where the silver comes in. these, because we make multiples at once, there's like a little tree, and then you have them all hanging on there.
Okay.
And then later you cut off this channel that brings the silver in, and then you polish it so you don't see where that actually happened.
Yeah, I'd be hard pressed to find
Yes.
exactly where that was.
Yeah.
So,
But the way it always works, right? You cast something and you have that silver or gold or what it is. There's quite a lot of waste, right? So for every cufflink, you have to add like 50% more of that material in waste.
so when it comes to that carving process, I can imagine that the wax needs to be pretty hard in order to maintain any sort of semblance of structure.
Yeah.
Because obviously the face is rather large on all of the cufflinks, but then the shank and the foot far more delicate in terms of
Yep.
a subject not as weighty as metal.
And it's not beeswax. It's like an industrially made wax that's meant for exactly that purpose.
So it's not carving down candles.
No, it's not. It's not. It would be too soft. It just wouldn't work. Someone is like, what is vermeil? Vermeil is like a French term, and all it means is gold-plated sterling silver.
Understood. So just like my watch then. So it would be gold-plated.
Sterling silver.
Sterling silver.
Yeah, if that's what it is, yeah. And it's still marked 925 with a stamp, but it's gold. So then this is not it's gold, it's just 925 sterling silver with gold plating.
So is there any kind of concern with the gold plating coming off?
On rings, for example, I would say do not get rings that are gold plated because you touch edges, you move on things, that'll come off. With cufflinks, that is not the case. We also plate them really, really thickly, like 10 times as thick as other people would, just to be extra safe, So if you drop these sometimes and stuff, it's not a problem. It won't come off. But in everyday wear, sometimes you maybe touch your table and stuff. No. If you take sandpaper and rub on it, yes, the gold will come off, but that's not what they're designed for, right?
No, I don't really understand why anyone would want to sandpaper their cufflinks, but understood.
Yeah. And some people may think, it's maybe extravagant, right, if you see them up close, but it's such a small item. And, if you see the photos or the videos, they look really big. But on the cuff, look at this. This is the buttonhole. They're relatively small. So it's kind of a conversation starter if you want it to be, right? If you kind of put it out and have a drink and hold it like that, maybe. Otherwise, you're not necessarily notice it. It's not like it's a big diamond that is reflecting the light at you.
Exactly. I think not just because it's my favourite, but my suggestion would be to start with the lion because of the fact that it's not as protruding on the face.
Yeah.
If you're concerned about anything like that. But honestly, it's one of those things where I think the horse would be another great choice.
Well, if you like that kind of stuff, right? If you're like a hunter, and you like, I think the fox is really nice. I don't think there's it's like choose what you like, basically. They all work. The eagle is cool. And, you can wear them with black tie or not. There's no right or wrong in that sense. It's more a personal choice. But you see here in that horse, we're like, well, let's add in some, like bridle leather straps.
Understood.
So everything is, but then it was like, oh, where are we going to put we're going to put the hallmark. So basically the only area was available was down here.
On the edge of the stirrup.
On the edge of the stirrup, which is kind of funny because, a real stirrup would probably have some maker's mark in there anyways. So it was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But, there's no other area here where you could put that really.
For sure.
And the initial one, if you look at the initial horse here, for example, right, it didn't have that yet. Do you see?
I see.
It didn't quite have that yet. It was still like plain. And I was like, well, let's add something to it just so it's a little more decorative. And again, when you wear these, no one is ever going to see this, right? It's only you who are going to see this and appreciate it. But I'm like into this stuff, so I want to make a product that's really nice, even on its own, even though maybe when you wouldn't see it and you wouldn't need it.
So we've talked a lot about the fact that both ends of the cufflink are well decorated. Could you wear them back to front, for want of a better term?
What do you mean?
So where this side, so the foot out.
Mechanically, you could. Yes. There's no functionally you can. I mean, do whatever you like, right? The other thing you can do is you can get two different animals. You know, you could get these two and put one on the one side and one on the other side. No problem. Someone here says, like, you know, I love wearing cufflinks, but sweat into French cuffs and have trouble getting the sweat stains out. I think we did like a sweat stain removal video.
Yes,
That's
we
it.
certainly did.
And then, I mean, the other thing you can do, and quite a few shirts actually have that these days. It's like basically it's like a single cuff, and sometimes they have a button on one side, but they have two buttonholes. So you can wear them with cufflinks or with a button. You can also cut the button off. So then you have that same level of as a regular button cuff, but you can wear it with cufflinks, and you should get less hot.
Because there's less fabric all over.
And it makes sense, right? If you have two layers of fabric, it's warmer than a single layer of fabric.
Yep,
and if you
of
live in
course.
a climate where it gets hot, that's the case. So you could also move, you know, that would be another option. Yeah. Why did you go for plated gold and just hollow gold? Well, you know, hollow gold it dents more easily. So I think, you know, if there's interest in those, we'll be offering on a kind of a custom order basis solid gold cufflinks, because, you know, the gold price has gone up significantly. It's at a record all-time high, and, you know, sometimes it changes, like, you know, in the last 5 days it went up 3%. Like, it's massive changes. So if you want gold cufflinks, solid gold cufflinks, you have to pay, because silver, you know, is a lighter material. So let's say these cufflinks, you know, these are about like 17 grams. So if you want this in a 750 18 karat gold, that gets you up to, like, you know, 26 grams. So 26 grams of just gold. And then again, you have that same issue. You have all that wasted gold, all that stuff. So you need to buy, you know, thousands of dollars of gold just to start making one pair of cufflinks. So we're not going to stock that. That would be crazy. So it would be more of a custom commission, right? Or if someone would say, oh, I'd like a ruby in the eye, you know, we can do that. Will it cost more? Yes. But it's like, you know, a solid gold cufflink in this version will cost like more than 10 times as much, you know? So these are a really good deal. They're plated in a way, the gold ones, where it should last, you know, for your lifetime, and you can pass it on. The sterling silver ones will never rub off because it's sterling silver, so you can wear those and enjoy them at a fraction of the cost of what solid gold would cost you.
And we've been testing these for, how long is it now? Quite a while. I mean, repeatedly putting on, taking off, putting on, taking off.
Oh yeah, over a year. And, you know, it's like when you test something, right? You kind of intentionally ding it on stuff and, like, you know, throw it on the floor outside and all that stuff. Yeah. These cufflinks are worth $350. Why pick them when vintage stores are full of cufflinks? You know, vintage stores indeed are full of cufflinks. What I've found is most of them are like 50s and 60s, which I don't like. It's just a design that is very ugly most of the time. There's some, like, you know, Art Deco cufflinks, and don't get me wrong, you know, if I see cufflinks, I buy vintage cufflinks. You know, I'm not like against vintage cufflinks. I buy them when I see them, but I have never seen anything like it in all my years of looking. And I mean, you can, you know, do a Google search, look for, you know, eagle cufflinks or like fox cufflinks or whatever, and compare those designs to what you see here. I guarantee you, these will look more realistic, more attractive, and, you know, at the end of the day, you could say it about anything, right? Why buy new? You can always go vintage. Yes, but not everyone wants that. And sometimes if you need something now, vintage takes a lot of time, right? So if your time is worth something, take that into consideration. If you spend 10 hours, you know, where you could have made maybe $50 an hour or 100 or 200, just add it all up. The new thing is going to be less expensive. And I also like creating things. You know, we create videos, we create products. It's really cool to take something that you have a vision for and make it a reality.
I think as well, from the point of view of vintage cufflinks, you might come across a vintage seller that doesn't fully know or appreciate what they have, and might go the other way as well, where they tell you that it's something that it's not. It's not all the time, which is a good thing.
Sometimes cufflinks are not hallmark, for example. They don't know. They're like, oh, I think it's gold, and it's like, sometimes I was at a market and they're like, oh, this is 23 karat gold, and I just held it and was like, no way. It would be way heavier than if this was in fact the case, right? So you have to kind of make judgment calls and say, is this true or not? So, old silver has been taken and melted down. Old gold has been taken and melted down and brought into the right proportions chemically. Because when we say, gold cufflinks, it's never just pure gold. There are other elements like, copper, silver, to get the desired hardness, get the desired kind of oxidation resistance, and also the look.
Because gold is a soft metal, right? In its state, it's softer than silver is.
I'm not quite sure about silver particularly,
Okay.
but gold in general is a softer material. It is. And so it also depends on the country. If you go to Portugal, for example, I think their default is like 21 or 22 karat. It's higher. In England, there's places where you can get 9 karat gold, 8 karat gold.
My signet ring is 9 karat gold.
So 9 karat gold means only 37.5% of that gold is actual gold. The rest are other materials. So in some countries, you couldn't call 9 karat gold gold, right? 14 karat is 58.5%. That's why it's 585. 585 pieces of gold in 1,000. 750 gold means 75%, or 18 karat. 24 karat would be fine gold. But even when you buy fine gold, they never say 100%. They say like 99.9 out of 1,000, because there's some maybe impurities. Yeah. Do you feel a particular affinity to any one of pair of these cufflinks because the animal chosen? I mean, you said the lion, right?
Yeah, the lion for me. I think eagle would be next on my list.
Okay. I think I like the fox. I think it's a really cool, it turned out really well. I like the back of it. I think it's just really nice animal. But I wear them all, of course. I tested them all, so yeah. Where the shirt cuff is the most elegant place for the cuff holes? Dead center, or a little more forward, so that the cuff is easier to see. What do you have on today?
So yeah, I've got the lion, and I typically prefer to wear mine quite close to the edge.
Yeah.
From the point of view that if I'm wearing a pair of cufflinks that I care about, I want to see them if no one else does.
Yeah. One thing I've seen in some shirts, they have that where they have basically 2 different buttonholes in the back. Mm-hmm. So that allows you to kind of move it, because sometimes you might have a jacket where the sleeve is a little shorter, or maybe the shirt has a larger armhole than this particular jacket. So what that means is it'll pull it up a little bit, and if you want to make sure you get the right amount of shirt cuff that is visible, it's nice to be able to adjust based on the shirt. So I'd say yes. Personally, I like it more forward too, because you can see the cufflinks better. Some people have it in the center, but unless you get custom shirts, you can't really specify that. And even that, it's not a default customization option. It's like, where do you want your buttonhole in your double cuff? I'm sure you can ask for it and they will do it, but it's not that particular. That being said, we have a launch deal going here. You get 15% off 1 pair, you get 20% off 2 pairs, and then 25% 3 or more. So if you buy like with 25% off, you get almost $100 off. Very good deal. Was the snake and eagle design inspired by the flag of Mexico? No, it was not. That's something that someone on our team, Eb, discovered afterwards. I didn't even think about it.
Fair enough. No, I really like the sort of link to our previous cufflinks as well. The eagle claw with the precious stone orb.
Yeah.
The idea of the claw grasping, but I think it's just a great kind of pairing, the eagle and the snake. They're natural predator-prey.
Yeah. Okay. What's the best way to clean these cufflinks? I mean, like with all jewelry, you can put these in ultrasonic baths, right? If you've worn them and they got real dirty, that way it gets into the crevices. You can also any jeweler will always be more than happy to clean your jewelry for free. So that would be it. The silver, if it tarnishes, let's say in the back here, and you have a white cuff and you notice that you get a little bit of, black oxide, I would just get a little polishing cloth, go over it once, and that should be all you need. Yeah.
So do we have any plans to release a matching set of studs?
We'll see, if there's enough demand for it. You could certainly do it. I wonder, if you had like the pointy nose, would you have to make it a little flatter? We could do it. It's just, is there enough demand for it? And, you could combine those with the existing studs that we have, the monkey fist nut cufflinks. They're more textured and stuff. It would still work. So yeah, if there's enough demand, I could see us doing that.
And I think that's one of the lovely things about, especially black tie, is that the rules are typically a little bit more fluid than for something like white tie. So having non-matching studs and cufflinks in their specific design is not necessarily a bad thing. I think as long as there's a harmony between the two. For instance, I can see the yellow gold monkey's fist knots that we do in the studs matching beautifully with the eagle is the one that I think of immediately, because there's that kind of design language with the grasping claws and the snake, and so it's definitely acceptable for black tie.
Exactly, and you could come up with an idea now where maybe you just use a snake head, or have something that's complementary, for example.
Good idea.
But as with all this, developing something like this is expensive. You have to invest time, you have to invest money, so you can only do so much at one point in time, without knowing, are people actually going to like it? I mean, I love them. Doesn't mean that everyone will automatically, right? I hope so. And I'm like, looking at this is really nice. And I hope they'll be a success, but you never know for sure until you actually do it. Yeah. Gemstones to the eyes, yes, we can do that, right? It just adds cost. So maybe we'll do that for the custom options. More animals, yes, I can totally see more animals. If you have specific ideas, let us know. Always open.
Yeah, I'd be very interested to see what other sort of natural predators and prey would make it into the series.
Yeah, and I would say people will say, oh, you can get cufflinks for you can get sterling silver cufflinks for a fraction of this, and I'm like, well, I would urge you to do this. Like silver also has risen in price, but silver is much less expensive than gold is, especially right now. Now it's, you can go to McDonald's and have a meal, right? And you eat, and there may be beef in there, or you can go to a steakhouse and eat steak. The price point will be different. You will eat beef in both cases, but it's not the same. Same with cars, right? You can buy an Acura, you can buy like a Lada, or like some Romanian brand, or you can buy a Ferrari. Not the same thing.
But
they both have wheels, they get you from A to B, right? But the whole approach to something is just very different. So, silver weight is one aspect of it, but then it's also the craftsmanship, the design. And that is something that is, you have to find too. It's like with shoes. Some shoes have a last, you can get an Alanis shoe and pay one price for it. And you can get maybe a, Graziano Girly or Cleverly shoe bespoke and pay another price for it. It's very different approach. For some people, they're like, oh wow, this makes no sense whatsoever. And then you have something in between, right? There's ranges. Not all cotton is the same. Sterling silver on a chemical basis is more or less the same. That's true. But the carving, the way it's designed, and the way it's plated, it's not all the same.
It's all about the application, right? You can give two jewelry makers the same amount of silver, and one is going to be completely different to the other.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah. I mean, can gentlemen be real fanatic supporters of football? Well, I guess depends on how you define fanatic, right? I've once seen a little picture when I was a little kid in a kind of a fan get-up, and it was it was really strong, right? So I think that's not necessarily a gentleman way to do it, but can you be really into something? Absolutely, right? I mean, you're not into football or soccer.
Not even slightly.
Yeah.
No, I'm not a sporting person, but I think like with the horse and stirrup, there's definitely that element where I like to pretend like I'm interested in these things. From I think that sort of Ralph Lauren aesthetic. But yeah, I don't like sports stuff at all.
Yeah.
I get fanatic about other things.
Yeah, and that's okay, right? Like you can be into food, you can be into, sometimes like log rolling and still be a gentleman. I don't think certain hobbies are mutually exclusive. It's like saying, oh, if you like Eminem, you cannot be a gentleman. I don't think so. No, you can dress in a certain way and then like things that are maybe not traditionally associated with it. But I mean, look at jazz, right? When jazz came out, people were like, ooh, this is like horrible, crazy stuff. And now, oftentimes you equate jazz with, people of taste, people of style, right? So it's funny. It's just how society views a certain thing, and it has changed. And I would say, don't let others dictate what you like. If you like football, if you like soccer, and you like the atmosphere, you like the emotions, go for it, right? Does it mean you should punch others and insult others because they're from the opposing team? No, that's not part of that, right? So I think, yeah.
And to make a football-based pun, I think we can all agree that one came out of left field.
Yeah. Are you going to make a Cufflink box to go with the new Cufflinks? We used to have a Cufflink travel box, and Jack and I, we sat down extensively looking at how do we design it, and yes, we're planning on a specific men's accessory box where there's a place for your tie bars, a place maybe for your bracelets or wristbands, a place for your boutonnieres, a place for the cufflinks, for the rings, all the things that men actually have and use, because often these type of things are made for women.
Yes, very much so. So the box that I use is, I believe it would have been a ladies' jewellery box back in the day. It's like a travel box with this kind of clamshell design that opens up. It serves my purposes wonderfully, and it was a lovely Christmas gift, the Christmas that's just been. But yeah, we can definitely do something that's not just a cufflink box, but serves more men's jewellery purposes than that.
Serves the whole range of accessories, and if you've noticed, we've had like travel leather goods, a passport holder, and so we're trying to add more, more things in that range. So you can, when you go out and about, you have something that is nice, high quality, but also protects your stuff and is, thought and designed from the ground up for gentlemen. It's not just an afterthought where you're like, ooh, I could jimmy rig this and put this here. And because your box, for example, if you have stuff in there, like it shakes around. So when you travel, it all like touches each other and rubs on each other. That's not making the jewelry more beautiful.
No, absolutely. And I think that's something else as well. It's the other elements about it. It's the closure method. Like, does this spring open if it touches one of the sides of your suitcase? So yeah, we stay tuned. We're working on things.
Yeah, and then so storage-wise, right? We try to do that. And then if you could only choose one pair of cufflinks, what would they be and why? I mean, it doesn't have to be like, if you had to choose one pair, what would that be?
Of any cufflink?
Any cufflink, whatever.
Any cufflink. I think it would have to be yellow gold in terms of the at least the finish, because I tend to wear more yellow gold jewellery than I do silver. And then I think I like something where there's detail on both sides, not just because of these cufflinks, but I don't like the T-bar purely because it's just not that interesting when you rotate your cuff.
Yeah. And it depends a bit on the person, right? If you're like, well, I go to the office a lot, I think something simple like a monkey fist knot cufflink is, very unobtrusive, very classic, or it could be something without diamonds or gemstones, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But if you're like an artist, you probably want something that's really bold and eccentric. So it depends a bit on the person.
How about you?
I do I wouldn't just have one pair of cufflinks. I'm more maximalist in that regard. I like the variety. I don't like just having one thing and use it like a uniform. And fortunately, I don't have to, so awesome. Yeah, so, another cool thing, and again, you can get a special launch deal on these cufflinks, 15% of one, 20% of two, 25% of three or more pairs. And if, we did an event in London last year. If you haven't seen, we did quite a few videos. How many?
Oh, around 22, something like that, I think.
A few still are waiting to be released.
I think so.
So stay tuned. But we have another trip coming up. We're coming to Vienna. And Vienna is a really nice city. Have you been?
I've never been, so I'm particularly looking forward to it from the point of view of having someone in particular show me around the city and all the places that you've been to previously, and starting to understand more about what's out there in terms of the classic menswear that's not just London and Italy, essentially.
Yes. I think Vienna is highly underrated. I first went there, for an extended visit in my adult life in 2012. I went again in 2024, both times no more than a week, so you have more time to explore. And so this time we're going in 2025 in May, April, and we'll be having an event there. But the reason we're going to Vienna is it's kind of this bastion of, I would say one of the last bastions of like craftsmanship. There's lots of craftsmen. I don't know if there's any city currently right now that has as many, for example, bespoke shoemakers as Vienna does, for example. Also, they have 350, I think even more, balls per year where people wear white tie, right? Where in the world do you have that? So you have an active community there that still wears white tie. It's not an exclusive rental operation like it is here mostly. So that's really cool, and we have really cool stuff to see. They also have lots of history, there's lots of culture, lots of museums. They have great food. And, talking about food, we're going to have this event at the Sacher Hotel. They're known for the Sacher Torte. It's a really nice 5-star hotel, lots of history. And then we'll, for the event, it'll be a Saturday, and we'll go to, they have a famous flea market. So you can go flea marketing with Jack and me. And our cameraman Graham in tow, so it'll be fun. And then we'll go to a really nice store. It's called Wilhelm Jungmann und Neffe. Wilhelm Jungmann and Nephew. And it's a store in a very kind of old building, very close to the Sacher Hotel. And it is just beautiful on the inside. They sell accessories, they sell cologne, good stuff like Roberto Ugolini, for example. They have fabric that you can buy. Tailors come there. So it'll be a fun time for you to explore. We're going to be there, the owner's going to be there. We can ask questions, have a nice little aperitivo, and then go and have a nice 5-course dinner, dressing up. You're welcome to come in white tie. If you don't have that or you don't want to wear that, black tie, classic, creative, whatever floats your boat. We just had a really good time last time in London.
Yes, it was an excellent trip, and I'm particularly looking forward to Vienna from the point of view that this store has like a library of fabrics to choose from what you've told me, from what I've seen. It's something that I've particularly kind of become more interested in as my style journey has continued to evolve, is not just the style of a thing itself, but what it's made from. So that is going to be one of the highlights of the trip for me.
And also, last time we had like a dinner, we met people a little bit before and did some filming. So this time we're like, let's make it a day, let's have the flea market experience, let's go to the store together, let's have the really nice, 5-course dinner in a really nice environment. We kind of rented this private room, it's the marble hall, so very kind of nice and opulent. Not something you would do, on your own dime, or because it's just too expensive to do it, just rent the room, costs a lot. But it's fun to do it in a group setting, and it's going to be only maximum of 17 guests. It's going to be the 3 of us, 17 guests. That's it. So it's rather intimate. We can have a conversation with everyone and find community and have a wonderful evening. Everything is going to be documented, of course. So you walk home with some nice photos and videos.
Absolutely.
Yeah, dress code, during the day, you can wear whatever you want. Because we know you're stylish people. You're not going to show up in your sweatpants. I mean, if you want to, it's up to you. But evening is going to be white tie and black tie. And I don't know about you, but there's not that many white tie dress code options or even black tie events that I can attend here in the US.
Kind of similar in the UK as well. I think you have to be in the right sort of circles for it to happen. So the best solution to a problem of, I don't have an event to wear white tie to, is make one yourself. So that's exactly what we've done. Because we know that there are people out there, just like you, that want to wear these incredible dress codes. And yes, we are in a different society as the 30s and 40s, the golden age of menswear. Yeah. But that doesn't mean to say that there shouldn't be opportunity to put on your finest attire.
And we also thought, it would be fun to kind of create kind of a little commemorative item for that event. So we created like 14, they're the knit ties, they're brown knit ties with an undertone of like beige. And we call it the Wiener Melange, because Vienna is known for the coffee houses and for the coffee culture. And the Wiener Melange is like the name of a coffee blend. Mm-hmm. So we call the tie that, and it's a tie that, we won't sell. It won't be available at any other point in time, but it's going to be a unique reminder that's very wearable that you can bring home. So it's going to be part of that. We have a little page where you can buy tickets. Yes, hurry up, only the first 14, and there's only 17 tickets total. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty positive it'll sell out. Last time we sold out pretty quickly. So I would assume it's the same this time. Who knows, it's a different city. But if it's a smaller event and fewer people come, it means you have more time with Jack and me, which is, I think, also a plus. But we wanted to cap the size, not have like 50, 60 people, because then it becomes very kind of impersonal.
Absolutely, yeah. We want to get to know you, essentially. If you're coming to this event, we want to understand more about your style. We find inspiration from each other and from other classic style enthusiasts. And yeah, it's one of those things where when you have a hall full of people, 50, 100 people, it's difficult to do.
Yeah, and there's so much great stuff to see in Vienna. As a menswear enthusiast and non-menswear enthusiast, so you can make a weekend out of it. It's May 3rd, Saturday, so you can make a weekend out of it. And I guarantee you won't be disappointed. It's a really nice city. It's not as expensive as maybe other capitals in Europe. Mm-hmm. And it has charm, it's clean, it's safe. Very nice place to be. And Cufflinks here, last but not least, special deal going. All you have to do is just put the Cufflinks into your cart, and a discount is applied automatically. You don't need any code or anything. Just add them to your cart. You'll get 15% off one pair, 20% off two, 25% off 3 or more of our new Cufflinks from the Predator and Prey line. Excellent. Yeah. How are we doing on time here?
We're almost at 5 to 11 CST.
Okay.
Let's see if anyone else has more questions.
Yeah, any live questions? Oh, now it recognizes it. What are you wearing today?
Well, I'm wearing an acceptable up top, which is a vintage double-breasted jacket. Yeah. I recently had the buttons exchanged. They were metal buttons originally, but I preferred the horn.
Because this is black. This is not navy, which is unusual. But if you look at it, it has like patch pockets here. It has patch pockets on the bottom. It's double-breasted with peak lapels. So it's a vintage piece, right?
Vintage piece. I'm not entirely sure on the age, but from what I kind of understand, it might be around the sort of 30s, 40s, that sort of era. No vents, and it fit me pretty well. Off the rack. I found it in a charity shop or a thrift store, and it's got one of our Fort Belvedere pocket squares in said patch pocket. I've got a boutonniere. It's one of my favourites, actually. I like the
pale.
Yeah,
cherry blossom kind of.
I like that it's two blooms as well.
Yes.
It's something a little bit different and unique. It's a very nice one.
And it has elements of white in the middle because all these are like hand dyed. So you have a white shirt on, but it still works even though it's pink. But it works with a pink shirt, of course. And it's a little there's a slight contrast, but not a stark contrast.
Absolutely. My shirt, speaking of, is from Proper Cloth. It's in a relatively heavy twill because I feel the cold, and it's been quite cold over the past couple of weeks in Minnesota. Of course, I'm wearing my favourites, the Lion and Gazelle, in my cuff. Otherwise, my tie is from Fort Belvedere. My watch is my Cartier tank, and as I said, my signet ring on my pinky.
And then you have denim.
Yes, the bottom half is slightly less classic style and definitely more easy to travel in. I've got a flight to catch after the live stream, so I'm wearing jeans and chukka boots.
Yeah, yeah. I have kind of a pair of it's kind of brushed chinos. Kind of this is one of our kind of our cut prototype testing fabrics. Then this is I think an Isaiah jacket, kind of a silk wool herringbone. The shirt, I don't know, it's custom made. I don't know who made it. And I'm wearing the Eagle cufflinks. I switched on this one here to the prototype in platinum, just so I could show you both of them, so you could see the difference between the real one and the like here you can see maybe again, you can see the difference between how it looks in platinum and not. I have this like pinky ring, and the blue picks it up. I think this is white gold, so it kind of goes with the silver, the cufflinks. This is an ascot that we made from like a kind of English silk. So Fort Belvedere. The pocket square is one of our newer ones. Like it's this crocheted. It's all hand crocheted.
And we saw this being done by the makers in Italy.
Exactly. All. So it was kind of it's not quite the exact shade of blue, but that's fine. It's a little further away, so you can still have it. I'm wearing some kind of monk straps in darker brown, so I matched that with my belt. And now my phone is ringing here, so I'm gonna turn that off. Good. Spam call, of course. What else?
Well, it could have been someone trying to get through to ask questions. Someone who's very, very interested.
You could also just do so in the chat. You don't need to call in.
Not quite a radio show.
Yeah. Exactly. What are new products are you working on? Well, there's always a lot, right? Because there's a lot of testing going on. Pants testing, fabrics testing, leather goods, more cologne coming. So just stay tuned. We have a few things planned that are already done, underway. Belts, buckles. It's always something. Boater hats. Where can I find a modern maker of them? Or rowing jackets? I mean, yeah. You wanna go?
Well, boater hats, my initial thought, just because, of course, being an Englishman, goes to Lock & Co. I know that they sell them. I think Bates Hatters sells them as well. There's lots in the German street area. If you've seen our video where we rank German street stores with my very good friend Chris Modo, you'll have loads of suggestions as to where to look at London-wise. Any American-based?
I mean, Brooks Brothers sometimes have them. You just, with a boater, I think it's important to try them on because they're stiff hats, right? And humans don't have like round heads. They're more oval, but some are more more oval than others. So if you get the hat, in the same size as you get, let's say, a felt hat or a flat cap, you may get a headache. So it highly suggests you try it on and get to a space where they make it for your hat space. You can get them from like higher end hat makers, again, like Steak or McDonald's, right? There's different price ranges. So I think that's something to consider. My first thing would be look on eBay, see what brands you can find, then look on Google, see what brands you can find and try to stop by, or at least buy something where you can return it. And then rowing jackets. I mean, the number one place for that would be like Rowing Blazers. Jack was, I think the founder was Jack Carlson, I think, and he was a rower, and then he started this brand, and I think they were now bought by private equity. They did, collabs with Target, but also Gucci. And I think now they were bought by private equity. they're definitely a style-forward company,
Yes.
not a quality-forward company. So the style is always more important than the quality. So keep that in mind. But off the record, they definitely offer it. Otherwise, yeah, there's custom options is probably the way to go if you want that and can afford that. Do you know of any other English
So
places?
thinking off the top of my head, places like Harvey and Hudson or Roderick Charles, again on Jermyn Street, would be my go-tos. Perhaps New and Lingwood, it feels like the sort of thing they might come out with occasionally. But I would really suggest, again, the eBay route. Ralph Lauren's definitely done at least one or two rowing blazer style.
Totally, yeah, you can find that there. But it's not like you can just walk into a Ralph Lauren store and know that they'll have it, right? And on the website they may not, but they have done it in the past for sure. Yeah, I think if that's it, again, cufflinks, deals, just add them to the cart. You'll see the discounts applied, 15% of one pair, 20% of two, 25% of three or more. And then our Vienna event, we'll have that page is already live. You can, buy tickets there. We look forward to seeing you. And, someone will say, oh, this is going to be, expensive. But, we're not making money on these events. The organization, renting the private rooms, exchange rates, drinks. It's going to be an all-exclusive event. Like you come there, you don't have to kind of pay anything else, right? The drinks, everything, the food, 5-course menu, everything is included. We'll accommodate allergies and all that stuff. You just have to let us know at a time so we can tell the chefs that they will accommodate you and your dietary restrictions and needs. And yeah, Vienna is a great wine country too. So we'll try some, Viennese, like Austrian wines, which is going to be fun. And yeah, I very much look forward to the trip. Planning every day, calling people, and even if you can't make it, stay tuned for the videos. Although I think being somewhere in person is a very different experience than just seeing the videos. And my hope is that with our videos, we inspire you to save up some money maybe and go to these cities one day by yourself. And why not do it when we're already there?
Absolutely.
So, hope to see you in Vienna, and I hope you enjoyed